What's going on, guys? It's Icy Rhythms again. Welcome back. And in this video, I want to talk about the PUBG apologists, or you could even argue just all early access apologists. And I like to talk about a gold standard with these early access games, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But what you have with PUBG is really interesting. The game just released for Xbox One and Xbox One X. It's always good when a game that, when it works and works well, when a really fun game like that can release on other platforms and, as many gamers as possible get to play it, because it opens up, new possibilities for new IPs from that developer and sequels, so on and so forth. So I'm definitely one of those gamers that I don't really care about exclusives. I just want to play good, fun games. If you're new to the channel and you've never heard me talk about that kind of stuff before, you might just want to go down the list. And I've probably mentioned it at least 50 times throughout all of my videos. So it's something to keep in mind when you're watching me. I don't really care for exclusives. I don't. I wish exclusives would go away, especially me personally as a PC gamer. I would obviously want that, but I find that PC gamers definitely less so than the console communities, especially the diehards, the fanboys, the maniacs. We don't really care about like when the hand-me-downs go to different platforms. It's not really like a serious thing for us, because we do want other gamers to experience great things, and it's good for us, the gamers, the consumers, when things like that can happen. Like, everyone wins. They win, we as the gamers win, and everyone's happy. So with that out of the way, with the praise, I think, for the most part out of the way, like, PUBG isn't a looker, right? It's probably never going to be a really awesome, go-to game when people start talking about, man, what are some of the, what's the top 5, top 10, top 20, best looking games of the generation. PUBG isn't going to be anywhere to be found. I mean, I guess from like a scale or a scope standpoint, it's pretty impressive that there's this huge open world and stuff. But again, there's tons of repeating textures. A lot of the housing structures, building structures, things like that, a lot of them are very similar or exactly the same. A lot of that stuff repeats over and over again in different locations, and that's just the facts. I mean, the facts are what they are with that, and that should also be mentioned. But when a competitive game releases on something like the Xbox or the Xbox One X, the $500 machine, right? The $500 uncompromised beast, the $500 most powerful console ever released, and still can't just lock at 30, that's a problem. I understand that the game is early access, but we have to stop saying that. We have to stop apologizing for these games that, in my opinion, are just in a condition that isn't very playable. It's not working all that properly, in my opinion, especially the Xbox version. If you turn up, which I would wager most PC gamers that play PUBG do not, if you turn up all your settings to higher ultra on PC, you're probably going to get an experience, regardless of hardware, that's a little bit closer to what the Xbox One version should have been, like a locked 30 FPS. I would wager most PC gamers play on low to medium settings, as low as possible, because that's where you're going to get the best performance. That's where you're going to get most of your frames. And again, even if you turn the game up from low to high or ultra, I mean, in this game, probably one of the worst offenders, in my opinion, it doesn't really look a lot different. But again, we can't keep saying it's early access, this game isn't finished, and making excuses for these companies, these developers. They need to be in a more working state, something that's a little more acceptable for the platform that it's on. In this case, whether you're talking about Xbox or PC, I feel that both should be in a better performing state when it comes to frames per second. I don't think PC gamers, especially with hardware like mine or stuff that blows mine out of the water, should have to play this game on low. We should see it in what little glory there is to see all of its glory without having to sacrifice all of those settings. It's just not a very impressive looking game, and I can't understand why things are the way that they are. I really feel like, and again, I'm sure the apologists will disagree, whether you're an Xbox apologist for this or a PC apologist, I really feel like this game will never be in a state that is considered even good. Decent, maybe, but good or great, never great. That will not happen. Like, it's never gonna be Doom levels of optimization, I guess, right? Maybe that's not the greatest comparison, but I'll give you a better comparison. Killing Floor 2 is my go-to game when we start talking about early access games. From day one, while not perfect, didn't have a ton of maps, didn't have a lot to choose from, just options overall and customization. There wasn't a lot there, but from day one, Killing Floor 2 was in a very playable state on a wide range of hardware, and even if you turn the flex effects on from NVIDIA, it was a performance killer, but even on some of the better machines, you could still get 50-60 frames, and those are just the facts. Those are the facts. Now, again, you know, Killing Floor 2, you could also argue like these are very confined spaces. It's much more linear than something like PUBG in terms of, you know, what's happening, what's needing to be rendered, AI, the CPU having to run on any number of tasks at any given time, things like that. I understand all that, but we can't make those excuses for these games like PUBG. If you give them an out, the developers will take that out. Don't be an apologist. Like, a lot of you paid for this game on Xbox or PC, and you should demand more. You should demand better as gamers, as consumers, because if not, more games like PUBG will blow up in states that aren't very playable. Like the playable state that you have with the Xbox One is just awful. It is awful. And again, I think you can argue that the state that the PC version is in is also awful, because there's no reason that people with really good hardware shouldn't be able to turn this game to at least high. You know what I mean? At least high to see it in some of its glory, okay? But that's just my take. You know, stop apologizing for these early access games, because here's the thing: there are other early access games that run much better than PUBG. Much better. PUBG, if you don't know, if you haven't heard the news, if you haven't been keeping up on current gaming events, is dropping as low as, I think, 12 or 13 frames. And I think someone mentioned to me they seen it drop as low as 10 frames on a video. Maybe it was Digital Foundry, I'm not really sure. 10 frames? 12 or 13 frames? What is this? The N64, where, you know, there's 4 players in multiplayer and everyone's shooting the automatic weapons all at the same time? Because that's what that looks like. That's what that feels like. 12 or 13 FPS in a competitive game in 2017. It should be no less than 60, especially in a competitive game in 2017. But here we have these apologists. Oh, it's not finished. It's early access. You have to demand, like, they need to get on that before they do anything else. I mean, it's cool that we're getting this new map and vaulting and stuff like that is coming, but simple things like vaulting probably should have been there from the jump. No pun intended with that, but stuff like that is simple. Like, why can't we jump over these, you know, this fence that's like 2 or 3 feet off the ground? That should have been there from day one. They should have been focusing on optimization and performance and nothing else until that was settled with the PC version as well as the Xbox version, and then done everything else. You know, continue with making new maps, so on and so forth, new animations, whatever it is. Do that first, right? I'm just asking for more. I'm asking for better. And I just feel like when you don't, you're part of the problem. So that's my take. Stop apologizing just because these games aren't finished. There's other early access games that have come and gone into 1.0 and even later, and they've been playable since day one on a wide range of hardware. PUBG, completely different story. One of the most popular games in the world right now, definitely the hottest new IP of 2017. That goes without saying, and it's just not all that playable. The game doesn't run well, people. It doesn't. That's my take. Thank you guys for watching. Take it easy. Peace.
Told you to reload. Yes! How many?